Welcome to the Wealthy Circle podcast, where we take a deeper dive into this year's finalists and winners from our wealthmanagement.com 2020 industry awards. These interviews cover the challenges, innovations, and trends in the wealth management industry and the individuals working to help advisors better help their clients.
Hey, greetings, everyone, and you're listening to the Wealthies podcast. I'm David Armstrong, the editor of wealthmanagement.com, and this, as you know, is the podcast where we speak to winners of our wealthmanagement.com industry awards. And today, I'm pleased to have a couple folks from Nationwide with us. Kristi Rodriguez, SVP of Nationwide Retirement Institute, and John Carter, the president of Nationwide Financial. Kristi, John, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you.
And congratulations on the win. Nationwide this year was recognized in a couple of categories as the asset management category for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Nationwide was recognized for the Financial Alliance for Racial Equity, and we want to talk about that a little bit, as well as under the asset managers ETFs category for the risk managed income ETF, as well as a marketing campaign around that. And we also want to talk about that. But first, why don't you just step back and give us a little bit of a broad overview of, folks know Nationwide, of course, but maybe what you folks do with financial advisors and where you kind of sit in the financial advisory ecosystem.
Great. Thank you, David. And it was an honor to be nominated. We were very pleased that with the Wealth Management Awards that, these are individuals and firms that are helping advisors. And to me, this couldn't be a better time to be helping advisors. And at Nationwide, we're coming up on our 100-year history. And as a mutual insurance company, even during the pandemic, we're coming out of the pandemic actually stronger than at the beginning of the pandemic. And I think that particularly for those advisors that rely and recommend insurance company and annuity, long-term care, life insurance, these types of solutions that need to be around decades from now, a mutual insurance company is a pretty good partner to have. And that being said, we have invested in the tools, capabilities, technology, and even thought leadership so that advisors can readily have at their disposal training, education, solutions, and really the ability to make an impact with their customers by offering nationwide solutions and capabilities. So Nationwide is a mutual. We're a financial services giant across life insurance, annuities, retirement solutions, and even corporate solutions like pension risk transfer, business, and securities-backed lending programs. We're a large mutual fund provider. Institutional funds are across many of our products and offered into the institutional marketplace as well. So, as we grow, and this is actually one of Nationwide's fastest growing years on sales and profits, we're getting ready to actually kick off 2022 with new capabilities and competencies to help advisors and their firms mean even more at times where customers, want great advice, solutions, and really perspectives on, keeping the course even when it's really tough to do that during challenging markets. So we expect to be growing another 100 years, but we're very proud and feel that we're very well positioned as a mutual as we come out of the pandemic stronger and more stable than we were.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that. You talk about the tools that financial advisors need to provide these better outcomes for their clients. Nationwide, we know, is the mutual fund. The risk managed income ETF, though, I think you're kind of trying to address a problem here with this particular fund that bedevils a lot of financial advisors. How to keep their clients on the path even after the retirement trigger is pulled. What do you want us to know about this risk managed income ETF? What problem are you trying to solve there? What was the thinking behind it?
I think the income ETF is, even a commitment that we've made to advisors and the partners where we do business with is to be that solutions provider as we look at income. I mean, income is the area that from a competency standpoint, Nationwide is out there with ETFs, with in-plan guarantees in the retirement space, with income products in our annuity business line, as well as even abilities to provide income in for long-term care and health reasons in our life insurance business. So we were honored to be nominated and won the Digital Marketer of the Year for the Nationwide Risk Managed Income ETF. We call it NUSI, N-U-S-I, but we created an innovative campaign that really helped us with investment education and thought leadership that would provide advisors and their clients an opportunity to talk about income as we kind of come out of COVID. It was drawing awareness around the fund and really a catalyst for both the early stage and long-term market adoption of income. So we have raised close to $500 million under that fund, launched it. It's performed extremely well in this year and even last year. And it's one of the top fund by sales, net flow, and asset growth. So when you think about even not just this fund, but advisors, who's partnering with you to provide income solutions wherever they may be from a financial product. In this case, it was an ETF. We also have that expertise, and Kristi might want to talk about it as well out of the Institute, to provide kind of those the thought leadership. So whether it's long-term care, whether it's managing chronic illness, whether it is longevity risk, or even this case a way to leverage an ETF and protect your income. These are all areas that Nationwide is willing and ready to partner with advisors and firms to really improve that competency as America's workers, savers, and retirees kind of enter this income phase of their life. And Kristi, the Institute has done a lot of work around having these discussions. What are a couple of programs that might be interested to the listeners today?
Sure. And thank you for that, John. And again, just appreciate being recognized by Wealth Management. What I'm excited about what we do within the Institute is I sit on John's leadership team, and we really view ourselves as a part of the organization that is an enabler or almost an accelerator for how we deliver value to financial professionals. And I think a prominent way we do that is through simplicity. And so we pride ourselves on how are we making Nationwide as easy as possible to engage with in terms of value add. So going beyond kind of the commoditized products that we offer, we really like to address kind of those practical insights that will assist financial professionals in engaging with their clients. So some topics that John alluded to that we have evergreen that we're always focused on, really around Social Security, healthcare, long-term care. But we really have dove into over the past year, the Secure Act of what has happened with legislation, as well as thinking about ways to assisting financial professionals and having conversations with their clients about planning, legacy planning, and planning for their families. So really excited that we're kind of breaking down and simplifying not only the way that you engage with us and garner value, but also how you think about that in delivering, and financial professionals delivering that value to their clients. So it's easily understandable. One of the other things that is a bit of an intangible that we focus on within the Nationwide Retirement Institute is how are we giving education to financial professionals around empathy and trust and building that within their clients. We know that those are going to be prominent capabilities that financial professionals are not only going to need for their clients that they have today, but as they continue to build those relationships with their families.
Yeah, I mean, empathy and trust should be, you would think, bedrock qualities of a financial advisor's relationship with their clients. Have you, as you look at that kind of, I grant you it's intangible, but have you done any kind of studies around it, levels of trust that advisor or clients have with their advisors, or where are maybe advisors falling down, in that area? How could they improve?
Yeah, we've done extensive research around that, but not only the research, David, that we've applied to that, but also what are those insights and ways that financial professionals can practically use that. Some examples that come to mind for me are really around that intergenerational conversation. We know it's going to be very important for financial professionals, again, not to create that trust and that empathy with the clients they have today, but what is that extension with those clients' families well beyond the life of that client. We've also broached in the area of diverse markets. And this has just been a tremendous opportunity that we see nationwide. And we have a focus within the Institute that we support all of Nationwide Financial around addressing issues for women, for the Black market segment, Hispanic, LGBTQ+, and we're moving into rural as of next year. So again, what are those ways that financial professionals can address some of these unique nuances that they're able to find with these diverse market groups as well?
Yeah, interesting.
I would, if I may add, David, a reason to partner with the Institute is just the insights that Kristi and the team have. They have decades of saver and participant information in our retirement plans business. So, for example, we were the first firm to create a 457 supplemental savings plan for government workers. But because of that, we have decades of participant behavior, data, and information. And according to Nationwide Retirement recent survey, 8 in 10 plan sponsors believe their participants want lifetime income solutions now, and 8 in 10 participants said that they would roll over at least some of their assets into that type of solution now. So you can look to the Institute for those types of insights that ultimately lead to better discussions with your clients and then potentially solutions that are delivering now what they're saying that they need, both the plan sponsors as well as the participants as well. And it is getting all about income, that's for sure.
About income, yeah. And I think you would know this better than I. Annuities for a long time were the solution. Got a little bit of a bad reputation, I think, among some financial advisors because of costs and transparency issues and these kinds of things. But it seems to me putting some of these strategies into an ETF wrapper is kind of a smart idea there's nothing more transparent than an ETF, right? That solves that issue essentially, right? So putting the strategy into an ETF wrapper, and you're finding great adoption with it. Tell me a little bit about that. How should financial advisors approach this ETF? Would they do it as they would an annuity, or how do they?
Well,
bring it to them?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think it's the opportunity for advisors right now to partner, whether it's with a team like the Institute or somewhere else that can give you the insights, the education, and really the ability to match the need with the right solution that's out there. So we really are putting our stake in the ground and saying we're gonna be at least one, if not the best partner on helping advisors and firms be prepared for these income discussions. But when we understand that consumers have a different appetite and they have different liquidity needs as it relates to income, the ETF is one example, right, where it provides certainly the income and the protection of some of the downside, and it doesn't limit your upside either, but it also gives you the liquidity. Now, some may say, I don't need daily liquidity, but I want to maximize my income now, in the future. And an annuity, particularly a fee-based annuity, which again, to your point, is very transparent and low fees, might maximize the income in the future. So for example, we have Link Plus, which is in our annuity line. We have in-plan guarantees, which are in our retirement solutions plans, 401ks, 457, 403bs. We have the ETF, the NUSI that we talked about, and even Care Matters in our life insurance, giving the ability to tap into your benefit there if you need it for long-term care needs and expenses that come up that may be able to be the differentiator of keeping you in your home and spending your benefit the way that you want through a life insurance policy. So whether it's fixed annuities, whether it's in-plan guarantees, advisor solutions like ETFs, the challenge I would say for an advisor is, am I fully versed on how I can maximize income for clients who need it now, or fully versed on maximizing income or combinations within the future for different types of income needs? And it may be spending, it may be health care, it may be long-term care. And again, these are, I think, probably the biggest opportunity for not only advisors, but also for insurance companies, because we are the only ones that can come in with guarantees like America's workers and savers rely on with our annuity products and life insurance products and in-plan guarantee products. So that makes it a very different partnership when you're looking at growth in the future and how you become this income professional and expert with your clients. And as Kristi mentioned, we want to take the complexity out of something and make it simple. But these are complex times, and it's not a one size fits all. At least Nationwide doesn't think that. That's why we've leveraged our mutual fund teams on ETFs, our life insurance teams for long-term care, chronic care, income needs, for the annuity business line, for maximizing income and do it in very efficient ways, or even the retirement solutions relationships through in-plan guarantees that are offered there. And all of those are in market today and making the difference in these income plans that the clients are demanding.
John, I was going to say just one thing to John's point that I think is so important is he talked about the fact that we have decades of research. One of the recent polls that we released was it was an NRI flash poll that we did around how people were feeling around the pandemic. And it was something very interesting that we learned in that survey. Two data points that I wanted to pull out is that 1 in 4 Americans who took that survey who weren't currently working with a financial advisor or financial professional said they wanted to. And that one of the most prominent things that came up as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic was really wanting to focus on understanding more about lifetime income. And so when you take that key insight, along with all of the solutions that John just mentioned, that is the opportunity to take something and break down and simplify for that client. If this is what you're saying you need, these are some of the best products and solutions that can assist you in getting there. So again, it's really about how are we helping individuals, even through the kind of these pandemic situations, understanding the need for their financial protection and guidance in the future.
Yeah, I think the pandemic was a wake-up call for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Advisors included. Kristi, I was going to ask you, from your perch there at the Nationwide Retirement Institute, we've talked about empathy and trust, planning for different income needs in retirement. We've talked about those two things. What do you think is the least understood or least realized threat to clients' retirements that advisors don't pay as much attention to that they should? Is it longevity? Is it healthcare? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a combination of those things. I think probably one of the greatest opportunities outside of empathy and trust is really assisting those clients in understanding retirement income and the variables that will go along with that. And so I do invite all of your listeners to visit nationwidefinancial.com, and under the Nationwide Retirement Institute tab, we have a plethora of ways that we address that, even down to tax efficiency retirement income, understanding, all the various components of protection that they'll need to have, but really understanding some of those core components. And I think it's really about how do we have more of a dialogue totally around financial wellness? What is that liaison to planning for retirement and officially doing it? And I think it's starting, again, just at that baseline of understanding, but I do invite all of your listeners to go out and really pull the data that we have. One of the things that I'm really proud of, and I know we'll get to the other award that we got with wealth management, but it is also that way that we're thinking about it from a number of different areas. And I spoke about diverse markets as well. One of the areas that when I think about retirement income that is so important, and we've had this long-standing program since 2018, has added tremendous value, is the focus around women and the different considerations that women need to have when they're planning for their retirement income, and the impacts that healthcare, long-term care, and even optimizing Social Security would play in that role. So I think that is, to me, kind of one of the more prominent things is once you get past the empathy and trust, really looking at how do you personalize that retirement income conversation and leveraging the tools that we have available for financial professionals to do so.
Hey, David, if I may, just to add on very quickly on that, other research that came out of these flash polls is that, Americans feel a tremendous lack of control and need both protection and financial guidance, coming out of the pandemic. One of the surveys showed that 1 in 4 Americans were driven to seek advice from a financial professional for the first time. 52% of investors said that COVID-19 made them realize that they need help in managing their finances and investments if they were going to succeed in the future. And almost half recognize the need for annuities to protect their retirement income and, protect their investment against risk. So, and coming out again, lifetime income is again another thing that they're saying. So there is an urgency around financial planning. And I think whether it's putting, your health first, legacy planning, emergency planning, or retirement, these are all things that we're prepared to partner and help advisors on as they have those conversations that clearly savers are saying that they want to have right now with financial professionals.
Yeah, a hunger for that information. It also strikes me that I think the financial advisory space the pandemic was a bit of a wake-up call, and there'd been a long move towards the financial planning side of the profession. And this is exactly what you're talking about, right? I think for a long time, financial advisors would, help the clients with their accumulation phase. How are we going to get to that number when you're going to retire? You're going to be at that number. Here's how we're going to get you there. Once you're there, it's kind of you're off on your own. And you're talking about a very different kind of relationship with the clients that takes much more into account. And yeah, I think there's a hunger for it. Let's talk a little bit about the other category that you were recognized for in the equity and inclusion category, the Financial Alliance for Racial Equity. Give us a little bit of a sense of what that is. This is not just nationwide, correct? I mean, it's a number of financial institutions and a partnership. Tell us about the Financial Alliance for Racial Equity.
Sure. So we embarked on some proprietary research back in 2018. And one of the startling discoveries that we had as it related to Black financial professionals and those college students is 90% of them perceive that they would have challenges in our industry based on their ethnicity and their race and their color. And so with that research, we decided that this was a great opportunity, not just to think about where Nationwide could really hold a position, but how we could drive more change together. So what we decided to do to drive greater impact is to bring together other industry partners, as well as historically Black colleges and universities to really join us in making a difference or having a greater impact. And so that's what birthed FAIR, which was the Financial Alliance for Racial Equity, where our mission was really twofold. It was to increase the number of Black professionals coming into the financial services industry and invest and sustain in their development and growth. And so we're doing that by providing a number of resources, solutions, trainings, and connections with students in early in career with, more senior level professionals, and really looking at what are those key components to their career success. And so what I really appreciate about the Financial Alliance of Racial Equity, it is about bringing more representation and driving inclusion. But I think the other problem that we're going to be able to address and solve is related to some of the topics that we just talked about. How are we going to look at closing the gap in some of these underserved communities by bringing more diversity to the table to create different solutions and products? So we were linking more entry-level professionals as well as college students with senior level executives in the various firms to really not only bring them into the business, but be committed to their mentorship and their growth. And one of the great, obviously, byproducts of the Alliance is not just focused on bringing more representation and equity into the industry. What we're seeing as a natural byproduct is being in an opportunity to some things that we spoke to earlier. And that's really about how do we create and close gaps in some of these underserved communities and address the needs of the underserved markets by having that dialogue of inclusion around what new products and solutions we may be able to offer. One of the great commitments that we're going to have between now and the end of this year is really looking at a baseline of what do metrics look like to drive this success across our industries and across our historically Black colleges and universities, and getting commitments from the CEOs of all of our member firms. So I did just want to take a moment just to close and congratulate all of our FAIR Coalition members outside of Nationwide. That includes Morgan Stanley, M Financial, NFP, the Employee Benefits Research Institute, Huntington Bank, Franklin Templeton, Miami Life, the Advisor Group, and our historically Black colleges include Hampton University, Howard, Lincoln University, Virginia State, Virginia Union, and Winston-Salem State.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of work getting everyone on the same page. That's like, what do they say, like juggling cats, right? Trying to get everyone on the same page, just organizationally. That's a great achievement. I think in the financial advisory space, the notion of this being largely a non-diverse community contributes to that lack of trust a little bit that you were talking about earlier. I think when we see the financial advisory firms that don't look like the communities that are around them, it raises some suspicions around the industry overall. So do you agree with that? Do you think that that there is kind of an issue of trust that suffers because of the non-inclusive nature of the industry as it is now?
I do, but what I'm hopeful about is that the dialogue is finally on the table. Mm-hmm. And I will just share with you, the excitement and the interest that we had even initially a year ago when we put out the ask, to know that we could drive greater impact and change together just reinvigorated me. And I think a lot of other individuals to know, again, that not only do we need to solve this problem to bring in more people in the industry, but how are we going to address some of those issues of trust within the system? And I think us collaborating together as a multi-sector component of the industry, as well as bringing in higher ed, is really going to assist us into adding a lot of value and really making a change.
And Kristi, I would add too. I mean, Nationwide, particularly our financial services leadership team, have always benefited by having a diverse team. I think the differences bring us strength, and including differences around the table has helped us perform as well. And the way I look at it too is if we can bring new young minds into this industry, not only will we provide opportunities for those individuals that might not have viewed financial services the way maybe some of us did when we entered the industry. We definitely want to change that. But then that also helps us open up new markets, and that's good for everybody within the industry. So I look at it as, yes, it will make a change one student and one professional at a time, but it also will strengthen our industry across these groups. And, these new associates are going to teach us how to do that. Mm. So whether it is the African American, Latinx, you start to include that segment into the room and the planning, and then you end up growing the industry. And to me, that's one of the most exciting parts of growth ahead. And I've been in the business 35 years, and a reason to invest in programs and be engaged in programs like this, because it will help us have a stronger industry for decades to come.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I think the working with the colleges is a great way to do this. And I think it's something that financial services overall should concentrate more on, simply because I think there's a lack of awareness amongst a lot of college students that these professions exist. People don't know what a financial advisor is. They don't know that when they're graduated from college, that this is an industry, this is a profession. Of financial advisory space is one that you can enter pretty easily, and there's a lot of opportunity there, but it's just a lack of awareness. So you're raising awareness.
Well, yeah, David, I would just say what struck me at the wealthmanagement.com awards, and I when I looked at all of the companies and many of the companies I've never heard of before, mm-hmm. When you think of what they do across custodians, disruptors, product solutions, marketers, et cetera, how do we, and we already know we're fighting for, so having young people come out of, or even while they're studying, look at all of the opportunities, even beyond being a financial advisors in this industry. We have a long way to go, but again, that's the opportunity for us. And you guys, I think what jumped out at me was just all of the opportunities and the innovative things that companies are doing and new companies that are popping up, and everybody is going to try to, reach more customers that frankly have to look different than you as an individual if you're going to capitalize on the growth of financial services.
And John, I think that is so spot on. To that point is that we were intentional with FAIR and looking at the full ecosystem of opportunities within financial services. And it happened that one of a very senior leader at one of our member firms at NFP, he said he actually started out, he's an African-American male in his career, and he was pushed down a path of being an advisor. Where he really had someone who came in and mentored him and eventually became his sponsor, which led him to an opportunity of wanting to go down more of the leadership path. And so that is truly kind of the beauty of bringing young people in early in their career and opening them up to a plethora of roles and opportunities that support the full industry that I think is going to be game changing with the coalition and the way that we think about partnering together.
And each of these firms in the alliance have committed a certain number of executives to mentorship?
Absolutely. And to the point that I was making earlier, not only if they have committed, we're actually creating a baseline of what are going to be our key metrics as a coalition that we will align to together. And that will be released by the end of this year. And we have each and every CEO of those firms committed behind that. So in addition to thinking of ways that we're not only bringing in interns and early in career employees, but what are our overarching efforts that we're going to align to together.
The coalition has also been very supportive and as exciting of a scholarship program as well. So there's just lots of ways that we are reaching down and supporting the students as they decide if financial services is going to be an industry that they're going to focus on for their career. And one way to help them is to help them through financially through the FAIR scholarships.
Page of award winners on wealthmanagement.com. How can people who are interested in getting involved with the Financial Alliance for Racial Equity find you?
They can actually email us at nri@nationwide.com. And please, we will send you any information. And we are so open to having other firms and industry partners join us in this effort. Okay.
Well, guys, this has been great. We're at our time limit, but thanks very much for joining us. Congratulations again on the wins here with the wealthmanagement.com 2021 awards. It wasn't easy. There were a lot of submissions this year, a lot to go through, but these ones stood out, and the judges, I think, spoke and well deserved. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for everything you're doing, David, and all the work that you're doing to help advisors succeed and create better outcomes for their clients. And we appreciate being part of today's podcast. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day. This has been the Wealthies Podcast. I'm David Armstrong. Thanks for listening.
This content has been made for information and educational purposes only. The views and opinions represent the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views and opinions of wealthmanagement.com.